Hello, friends, and welcome to the Masters. My name is Peter Jennings. I go by CSU Ram 88 across the daily fantasy industry, and ecstatic to be bringing you guys a model preview for the Masters. This is, in my opinion, the premier betting event of the year. You could argue the Super Bowl potentially, but for me personally, I am just loving this week and all the different betting options, and of course, very excited about DFS. So we'll be going into my model for DraftKings here on Fantasy Labs and talking about some of the players. So Augusta and the course, there's a ton of talk about Bryson this week, but there's some things that we just broadly know. And I'll talk about it with my model. So normally I'm weighting long-term adjusted round score a lot higher. Brought that down this week because I think I can pick up some of that and some of these other metrics. Driving distance is really important, as you're hearing about with Bryson and everyone else. Weighting long-term driving distance at 5 points. As we scroll down, I do recent adjusted score at 20 points. So the big things that I'm weighting heavily this week relative to other weeks is recent form, more so than usual. And then in addition, I'm weighting course history in a big way. I have recent GIR score at 10 points, recent driving score at 5 points. And then you can see here I have course adjusted round score for 25 points, and then odds score and top 10 score for 10 and 15 points respectively. This model I really like in terms of what it's spitting out, and I'm really just trying to look for guys who are in good current form, have good history here ideally, and I'm looking for bombers. So at the top of the list is Dustin Johnson, who is going to be extremely chalk on DraftKings, or at least that's my expectation. Coming off a really good week in Houston, great ball striking stats, has played really well, has good history here, bomber obviously, and by this model, he's hands down the top play. So love DJ, market's moving in his favor. I think Jon Rahm's the best player in the world. He's next on the list. He made 2 hole-in-ones, including maybe the best hole-in-one I've seen, skipping it on 16 for a hole-in-one, the tradition that they always do, skipping balls off the pond there. Can't say anything negative about Jon Rahm. Number 1 strokes gained total of any player in 2020. And you can see here in Fantasy Labs now too. I mean, we have all this Vegas data, and we now have all the strokes gained data as well. So you can just, if you're into numbers, we got it all here at Fantasy Labs, and really proud of all the offerings that we have. Bryson, most expensive player on DraftKings. Attacking the course in a different way. I think it's great for golf. He's getting a ton of coverage. Stoked that DraftKings and Bryson came to a deal. He's going to wear a DraftKings cap this week, and Bryson's 11-2. I have an expectation that he's going to be chalk, but I certainly think he's worth paying up for given his massive upside and being the betting market favorite. Love Rory this week. Rory, another guy who might get lost in the shuffle here a little bit. But I think Rory has a great chance to win his first Masters and cement his legacy. I'm rooting for Rory. I think he's great for the game as well. And I think broadly Rory benefits from his huge distance. I wouldn't be surprised to see him increasing kind of his aggression on some of the lines he's taken and just the way he attacks this golf course. We saw him hitting low 190s on Twitter and Instagram in terms of ball speed. I wouldn't be surprised if he got into the mid-90s. And with his trajectory, he's going to be able to carry the ball similar distances to Bryson. Xander's next on the list. Xander, or someone's going to come in low-owned out of these top guys. I like Xander, a great all-around game. I can't say anything negative about him. I guess the biggest plus for Xander is that he's performed exceptionally well in these big events and majors. JT's next, and I like JT for ownership. I think he's probably going to be the lowest owned of these guys on DraftKings. He comes in right behind DeChambeau in price. There's a gap there, but he's more expensive than Rahm, Rory, Xander, and DJ, who I think will soak up more ownership. So I think you can get JT, especially in higher stakes contests, a little bit lower owned. Tony Finau, the most raw power out there, has played well at the Masters. I always remember Tony Finau dislocating his ankle and popping him back into place after making a hole-in-one, and everyone thought he was going to withdraw for sure, and he toughed it out and played really good. Tony Finau, athlete, and a lot of upside at that price. Brooks Koepka coming in with good form. Again, the top of the leaderboard here is just so stacked. So Really like Brooks in terms of upside. Played well last week. I will net be fading him as my guess, given that he's gotten expensive in the betting markets, and he's somewhat expensive here in DFS. I certainly like guys like Finau a little bit better than him. Bubba Watson. Talk about great ball striking stats. You can scroll through here with Bubba Watson, and you start to see just some really good stats in terms of how he's been hitting the ball recently. So the big bugaboo for Bubba has been the putting broadly. So maybe some regression here. Obviously, won here a couple times, and the ball striking is elite right now. So I love Bubba. Matsuyama's had the most market movement. I'm going to be doing another video around Action Labs and some of the market movement stuff, and I think it's really interesting. The other thing that I want to point out too is we have a variety of different things here with trends. We have the tee times in here, and we have all this Vegas odds stuff. So that's really helpful. And if you want to upload your own projections, you can do that here and basically make a bunch of lineups. So I'll actually go through that in a second. I'm going to give some other quick notes. It's kind of going to the top of the board and the top of the model here. Love Matsuyama. My concern is he's going to be chalk. Cantlay, I think, comes in maybe a little bit lower owned, but again, coming in with great form. Adam Scott. Love Adam Scott. He's played great at Augusta and had a lot of upside. Made a lot of birdies last week in Houston. Just had a lot of doubles. Patrick Reed. One here. Just go through this list. Webb might go under the radar. I love Jason Day. I think he's really undervalued at that price from a win equity standpoint. I like Fitzpatrick. I like Justin Rose. I like Tyrrell Hatton. There's a lot of guys here that I'm really interested in. Kokrak coming off a win at Shadow Creek. Everyone's comparing the greens for Shadow Creek to the ones here at Augusta. So I think Kokrak is interesting as well. So we'll do an exercise here. We'll go through and I can show you how you can make a lot of lineups on Fantasy Labs quickly. So we'll unlike all the golfers here and make our own player pool. I'll kind of click some names that I like DJ, like Rahm. We'll fade Bryson for ownership. I like Rory. We'll fade Xander since we can't. I like JT, and I'll bump him up a little bit with this Firelike here. You can get a little bit more aggressive with that. I like Finau. I like Bubba. I like Matsuyama. I like Adam Scott. I like Patrick Reed. Love Jason Day. Love Fitzpatrick. Now we need to get some cheaper guys. We'll go with Lee Westwood, who's played really well here. I love Sebastian Munoz. I think Kokrak is really interesting. We get a little farther down here. Victor Perez is one of the highest ranked golfers from a world ranking standpoint relative to his price. Actually, the biggest difference. He is interesting to me. We'll throw in Jordan Spieth for some course history. I think that's really interesting. We'll get Shane Lowry in there. I like JT Poston this week. Francesco Molinari coming with some good form. Always a Corey Connors fan. I want to make sure you get Molinari in there. So we've built a player pool, maybe 20-some golfers. Let's see here. I should throw in a couple other cheapies. Let's get Ricky and Paul Casey in there for some mid-range guys. So we have a pool here. Now we can go to the optimizer, and we're going to optimize based on a variety of things here. You can stack tee times. You can do player correlations. What I'm going to do is set a max exposure of 80% for one player, and I'm going to bump up the range of outcomes to 5% there. So we are going to do this by the ratings. Oftentimes I optimize based on projections, which I upload. But let's go off the ratings that we just did, and we'll make 25 quick lineups here. And you'll see, pretty fun to see how it spits out. And we get a lot of Dustin Johnson and Rahm, Victor Perez popping here. And you have 25 lineups in seconds. And you can do the same thing to make 150 lineups. So, you could then save these lineups, and they'd be in your My Lineups tab, and you'd be able to use these lineups to upload onto DraftKings. So, super helpful. I've been living on the Fantasy Labs tools. I'm so proud of everything that we've built. Shout out to the team, specifically Ryan Patsko and Mike Bernhardt on the multi-lineups. And it is a great week, guys. The Masters is here. I'm so excited. Make sure to check out our videos and all the stuff we have at Action Labs. And, of course, I'll be live on the Gimme on Wednesday night talking about the Masters as well at 8:30 Eastern. Good luck to everyone sweating the Masters this week.